Okay, so 7.1 diet. Animals get their food from other organisms, from plants or other animals. They cannot make their food as plants do. So animals are heterotrophs. The food an animal eats every day is called its diet. Most animals need 7 types of nutrients in their diet. These are carbohydrate, protein, fats, vitamins, minerals, water and fiber. Nothing much to understand here. A diet which contains all of these things in the correct amount and proportion is called a balanced diet. So the amount should be correct and the proportion should be correct. By amount, it means, say for example, the amount of carbohydrate, the amount of proteins, and by proportions it means the percentage of carbohydrate, proteins, fat. If you have say 90% fat, that's not a balanced diet. So the amount should be correct and also the proportion. Now energy needs. Every day a person uses up energy. The amount you use partly depends on how old you are, which sex you are, and what job you do. A few examples are shown in figure 7.2. Here sex means the gender. The energy you use every day comes from the food you eat. If you eat too much food, some of the extra will probably be stored as fat. If you eat too little, you may not be able to obtain as much as energy you need. This will make you feel tired. Now the extra food is stored in our body as fat. Okay? All food contains some energy. Scientists have worked out how much energy there is in particular known kinds of food. You can look up this information. A few examples are given in table 7.1, but you do not have to memorize this. You may remember that 1 gram of fat contains about twice as much energy as 1 gram of protein or carbohydrate. This is why fried food should be avoided if you are worried about putting on weight. A person's diet may need to change at different times of their life. For example, a woman will need to eat a little more each day when she is pregnant and make sure that she has extra calcium and iron in her diet to help build her baby's bones, teeth and blood. Iron is needed to make the red blood cells, and calcium is needed to make stronger bones and teeth. Okay. She will also need to eat more while she is breastfeeding. Most people find that they need to eat less as they reach their 50s and 60s because their metabolism slows down. Nothing to memorize or make you understand from here. This is just information you need to gain. Okay, so nutrients. As well as providing you with energy, food is needed for many other reasons. To make sure that you eat a balanced diet, you must eat foods containing carbohydrate, fats and proteins. You also need each kind of vitamins and mineral, fibers and water. These substances are called nutrients. If your diet doesn't contain all of these nutrients, your body will not be able to work properly. So nutrients are the substances that we need for the normal functioning of our body. Okay. Vitamins are organic substances which are only needed in tiny amounts. If you do not have enough of vitamins, you may get a deficiency disease. Table 7.2 in 76. Yes, that is very much important. So vitamins are organic. They are not inorganic. Okay. They are organic means they contain carbon, hydrogen. So fiber helps to keep the alimentary canal working properly. Do we know what is the alimentary canal? The route from our mouth to our anus is called the alimentary canal. Food moves through the alimentary canal because the muscles contract and relax to squeeze it along. This is called peristalsis, the peristalsis movement. Now the muscles of our alimentary canal contract and relax continuously to push the food from our mouth to our anus, and this movement is called peristalsis. Now if you want a visual animation of peristalsis, search the YouTube, search for peristalsis and you will see an animation of peristalsis. The muscles are stimulated to do so when there is food in the alimentary canal. Soft foods do not stimulate the muscle very much. The muscle work more strongly when there is harder, less digestible food like fiber in the alimentary canal. Fiber keeps the digestive system in good working order and helps to prevent constipation. Do you know constipation? Constipation is a condition when the feces cannot be ejected from the anus. Okay, so now cannot be ejected from the rectum through the anus. The feces are stored in the rectum before being eliminated through the anus. Okay, now if you do not know what a rectum or an anus is, now there should be images of of anus and the rectum, the small intestine, large intestine in one of your chapters, but you can always look up the internet. Okay, and if necessary I will upload it in the Facebook page. Okay, so where was I? Okay, all plant food such as fruits and vegetables contains fiber. This is because plant cells have cellulose cell walls. Humans cannot digest cellulose because they do not have the enzyme cellulase. One common form of fiber is the outer husk of cereal grains such as oats, wheat and barley. This is called bran. Some of this husk is found in wholemeal bread. Brown or unpolished rice is also a good source of fiber. You do not need to learn by heart these sources of fiber, but you know the function of the fiber, and that plant cellulose is the fiber. You just understand this. Okay, so fat and before that we need to learn the vitamins, food that contains it, why is it needed, and deficiency diseases. And also table 7.3 mineral, food that contain it, why is it needed, deficiency disease. First let's start with vitamin C. Food that contains, there is nothing for me to make you understand. Why is it needed? Vitamin C is needed to make stretchy protein collagen found in skin and other tissues, keeps tissues in good repair. And vitamin D is needed, helps calcium to be absorbed for making bones and teeth. If you have calcium in your blood but you do not have vitamin D, the calcium is not going to be absorbed in your bones and teeth. Now deficiency disease. Vitamin C deficiency causes scurvy, which causes pain in the joints and muscles and bleeding from the gums and other places. This used to be a common disease of sailors who had no fresh vegetables during long voyages. We all know what gums are. Gums are where your teeth are embedded. Okay, that is the soft meaty part under your teeth. Those are the gums. And deficiencies of vitamin D is rickets, in which the bones become soft and deformed. This is common in young children in industrial areas who rarely got out into the sunshine. You do not have to learn by the examples of who like the sailors and the children. You just have to learn the deficiency disease, scurvy, rickets, and why is it needed. Food that contains it, you can just read so that you can remember them, but it is not necessary or required to learn by heart them. Same goes for the minerals. Calciums are needed for bones and teeth, for blood clotting also. Calcium is needed for blood clotting. We will learn that in the later chapters. And deficiency disease will cause brittle bones and teeth and poor blood clotting. By brittle it means that it can be easily broken down. And iron is needed for making hemoglobin, the red pigment in the blood which carries oxygen. Now red blood cells contains hemoglobin, which is made mostly of iron. We will learn that in other chapters too. And deficiency disease will cause anemia, in which there are not enough red blood cells, so the tissues do not get enough oxygen delivered to them. Okay, red blood cells function is to deliver oxygen, but if there are not enough red blood cells, that function cannot be done. Okay, yeah, so you learned by heart this. And fat and heart disease. The kind of fat found in animal foods is called saturated fat. These fat foods also contain cholesterol. Some research suggests that people who eat a lot of saturated fat and cholesterol are more likely to get heart disease than people who do not. This is because fat deposits build up on the inside of the arteries, making them stiffer and narrower. First of all, I need to explain what is an saturated fat. We all know the structure of a fat, that is fatty acids and glycerol. Now these fatty acids are like carbon hydrogen bonds. Okay, many carbon hydrogen bonds. Fatty acids, since they are acids, they will contain COOH group 2. COOH group here, and since glycerol is an alcohol, here will also be an OH group from the glycerol, but this COOH and this OH, from here the OH group and from here the H group will leave and form H2O. So ultimately there we have COOC group, which is an ester linkage. You will learn this about ester linkage in your chemistry of your O levels. So COOC, there we actually have COOC. Now there are many carbon hydrogen bonds. If all of the carbon bonds, and there are also hydrogen, this is actually chemistry, this is not biology. If there are like only single bonds, then this is called saturated fats, fatty acids, and the fats which contain saturated fatty acids are called saturated fats. But if there are double bond, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, if there are double bonds, then it is called unsaturated. And the fats that contain unsaturated fatty acids are called unsaturated fats. If there are a lot of double bonds between carbon, then it is called polyunsaturated fats. And there is also one thing more, that is trans fat and cis fats, that you learn in your chemistry. Okay, but it is not necessary right now. But let me show you. If in an unsaturated fatty acids the hydrogen bonds are like this, oppositely they are called trans fat. And if the hydrogen are like this in the same side, they are called cis fat. Okay, so trans fats are much more dangerous than cis fats, and saturated fats are better than unsaturated fats. Okay. Now let's go. This food is also okay. We know what is a cholesterol, but the structure of cholesterol is not needed. But cholesterol is basically a six-sided carbon ring. It's like this. It has a structure like this. 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then some other group is attached to it. Other groups, but six-sided 1 2 3 4 six-sided ring of carbon with other groups attached to it. But the structure of cholesterol is not necessary for you in your O levels. I am just showing you just to make you understand, because you will be taking biology in your A levels and then in your university, so You may need this. Now, where was I? Okay, and how arteries get narrowed? Let me explain you that. How fat deposits causes the artery walls to be narrowed. So for example, this is an artery and these are the artery walls. Blood is flowing. Okay. Now if there is fat deposition here, this is a fat deposition, the area through which the blood flows is decreased, and so the pressure here increases and less amount of blood can flow through it. Okay, this is a matter of common sense. So and coronary arteries are the arteries that carries blood to the heart. Okay, and coronary veins that carries blood away from the heart. If this happens in the coronary arteries supplying the heart muscles with blood, then not enough blood can get through. The heart muscles run short of oxygen and cannot work properly. This is called coronary heart disease, something to learn by heart. The deposits can also cause a blood clot, which results in a heart attack. If blood clots in your heart and your heart muscles cannot get any blood, so it cannot get any nutrients, neither oxygen, and so the heart stops working. And this if the heart stops working, blood won't be pumped to any of our cells, and this condition is called heart attack, and eventually the person will die. Okay, so dairy products such as milk, cream, butter and cheese contain a lot of saturated fat. So do red meat and egg, but vegetable oils are usually unsaturated fats. This and also oil from fish do not increase the risk of heart disease. So it is sensible to use this instead of animal fat when possible. I'm sorry, I think earlier I told you that saturated fatty acids, fats are better than unsaturated fats, but actually unsaturated fats are better than saturated fats, but trans fats that occurs in unsaturated fats are worse than saturated fats. So unsaturated fat that are lower in trans fats are better for our body. Vegetable oil can be used for frying instead of butter or lard. Polyunsaturated spreads can be used instead of butter. Fish and white meat such as chicken do not contain much saturated fat. So eating more of this and less red meat may help to cut down the risk of heart disease. These are nothing much to learn by it. You just learn that unsaturated fatty acids are better than saturated fatty acids, and trans fatty acids are worst type of fatty acids, and polyunsaturated fatty acids are good. Okay, so and you just read this for the informations. Okay, so obesity is basically the condition where a person become overweight. Okay, people who take in more energy than they use up get fat. Being very fat is called obesity. Obesity is dangerous to health. Obese people, the people who suffer from obesity, are called obese people. Obese people are more likely to get heart diseases, strokes and diabetes. Stroke is when it's similar to a heart attack, but it happens in the brain. When the arteries supplying blood to your brain gets blocked, then you have a condition where your brain cannot get nutrients or oxygen, and so your brain stops working, and this condition is called a stroke. The extra weight placed on the legs can cause problems with the joints, especially knees. Most people can control their weight by eating normal, well-balanced meals and taking regular exercise. Crash diets are not a good idea except for someone who is very overweight. Although a person may manage to lose a lot of weight quickly, he or she will almost certainly put it up on again once he or she stops dieting. So crash diet is when suddenly you need rapid loss of weight, and this is usually not so much effective. So you start eating very much lower amount of calories, and so the amount of calories you need is more than the calories you take. So your fat is going to be used to be converted to energy, and so your fat level will decrease eventually. Now, starvation and malnutrition. First of all, I need to make you understand the concept of malnutrition. Malnutrition is a condition where you are not having enough amount of your nutrients in amount and proportion. So you may have lower amount of food, and thus it will cause undernutrition. And if you have more amount of your food, you will have overnutrition. Both undernutrition and overnutrition are malnutrition. Okay, so if you are obese, you are having malnutrition, and if you suffer from deficiency of vitamins or any kind of nutrients, you are also suffering from malnutrition. Okay, this is a concept. In many countries in the world, there is no danger of people suffering from obesity. In some parts of Africa, for example, several years of drought means that the harvests do not provide enough food to feed all the people. Despite help from other countries, many people have died from starvation. Even if there is enough food to keep people alive, they may suffer from malnutrition. Malnutrition is caused by not eating a balanced diet. One common form of malnutrition is kwashiorkor. Okay, learn by heart that malnutrition is caused by not eating a balanced diet, and try to memorize kwashiorkor is a common form of malnutrition. This is caused by lack of protein in the diet. It is most common in children between the ages of 9 months and 2 years, after they have stopped feeding on breast milk. Kwashiorkor is often caused by poverty because the child's carers do not have any high protein food to give to the child, but sometimes it is caused by lack of knowledge about the right kind of food that should be eaten. Children suffering from kwashiorkor are always underweight for their age, but they may often look quite fat because their diet may contain a lot of carbohydrate. If they are put onto a high protein diet, they usually begin to grow normally again. Okay, so not much to make you understand. It's not like you have to memorize that kwashiorkor causes this, and the people of Africa, it happens because of that. Just understand the basic idea. The kwashiorkor is a common form of malnutrition, which is caused by not eating a balanced diet. And for kwashiorkor is caused by not having enough protein. So you have very small amount of muscles, but since you have a lot of carbohydrate, you look fat. Okay.